And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for.
I want to see the chat blow up with energy. Like, come on, people. Let's get hype. If you're ready, let's go.
What is solitary confinement? A. Solitary confinement of prisoners goes by a number of names. Isolation, SHU, special housing units, administrative segregation, supermax prisons, the whole, MCU, management control units, CMU, communications management units, STGMU, security threat group management units, voluntary or involuntary protective custody, special needs units, or permanent lockdown. Although solitary confinement conditions vary from state to state and among correctional facilities, systematic policies and conditions include confinement behind a solid steel door for 22 to 24 hours a day, severely limited contact with other human beings, infrequent phone calls and rare non-contact family visits, extremely limited access to rehabilitative or educational programming.
Savagest voice. He would just say, Diaz, like good morning to everybody. And his voice was so deep and so crazy, it was just demonic. And this I didn't see who Casper, what he looked like for 8 months. Then when I finally saw him, I was shocked. He was fucking white. But then I thought about it, and Casper fit. You know, the homies make their names fit the way they look. They're always good at that shit. But after the homie roll call is when the white boys do their roll call. We call out to our people. We say good morning. We give the notification that we're up and we're programming, because you have to be up programming even if that cell fucking door ain't opening. Next, you'll go take your showers around 3:34. At some places, depending on what tier you're on, you're either going early shower or later shower. At this time, I was on the bottom tier, and they would switch off morning, night, whatever. So then you would have your breakfast. You start getting ready for yard. Every fucking time you go out to yard in the shoe, you're bringing something you shouldn't be bringing. You're hooping something. And he's always playing sleight of hand with the cops when they're stripping us out. Because you're coming out your cell and you're in the shoe, you always have to cuff up through the tray slot. So you walk backwards up to the shit. First you strip out, you show them your butthole, you show them everything. They make sure you ain't got shit on you, and then they cuff you up, your hands through the tray slot. Now we bring a braided rope out with us to do pull-ups in the corner of the cage, and we would be doing shitloads of burpees out on the yard. We would fucking always be so military and so fucking just straight militant that when it's called the hard and soft count. So when I'm doing my burpees, I'm going 1, 2, 3, and then my celly's got the hard count. 1, 2, 3. My celly's got the hard count. 2, and we're going up. By the time we get to 23, that's our number. We always yell out supreme white power. I'm not the racist motherfucker. This is how it is in prison. I'm not racist at all. You get down with your people. I'm fucking telling you, this is how it is. You're not going against it. Done. We're done with that shit. No more racist shit. This is how prison is. Understand the California prison system. Understand who people are when they're in there. And that's how it is. You're not going to fucking against it. I've seen some of the craziest fucking shit in the shoe. And one of the craziest shits I've ever fucking seen was when we had just went out to yard. We come back, and one of the blacks who never goes out to yard, he's been in there 4 fucking years, Boo Boo from Compton. He fucking gassed this bitch, Miss Miller, this CO. I don't like that word, bitch, my bad. But anyways, he gassed Miss Miller. He had a bunch of shit and piss in a bag, and when she came in up to the tray side, he squirted it in her face and shit. That was one of the sickest things I seen, because they took him out the cell and they beat the motherfucking shit out this fool.
Q. How many people are in solitary confinement in the U.S.? A. There are more than 80,000 men, women, and children in solitary confinement in prisons across the United States, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. Note that figure is a decade old and doesn't include people in jails, juvenile facilities, and immigrant detention centers. Nearly every state uses some form of solitary confinement, but there's no federal reporting system that tracks how many people are isolated at any given time. Prisoners are often confined for months or even years, with some spending more than 25 years in segregated prison settings. As with the overall prison population, people of color are disproportionately represented in isolation units. Q. Why are people placed in solitary confinement? A. Prisoners can be placed in isolation for many reasons, from serious infractions, such as fighting with another inmate, to minor ones, like talking back to a guard or getting caught with a pack of cigarettes. Other times, prisoners are thrown into solitary confinement for not breaking any rules at all. Prisons have used solitary confinement as a tool to manage gangs, isolating people for simply talking to a suspected gang member. Prisons have also used solitary confinement as retribution for political activism. Locked in windowless cells for as much as 23 hours each day, inmates held in solitary confinement have little to no interaction with their fellow prisoners or guards. Access to mail and medical care is limited, and access to phone calls can be non-existent. Few prison systems use the term solitary confinement, instead referring to prison segregation or placement in restrictive housing. Some systems make a distinction between various reasons for solitary confinement. Disciplinary segregation, or punitive segregation, is time spent in solitary as punishment for violating prison rules, and usually lasts from several weeks to several years. Administrative segregation relies on a system of classification rather than actual behavior, and often constitutes a permanent or indefinite placement, extending from years to decades. Involuntary protective custody is especially common among children held in adult prisons, LGBTQ individuals, and other vulnerable populations who purportedly are placed in isolation for their own safety. Whatever the terminology, the practice entails a deliberate effort to limit social contact for a determinate or indeterminate period of time. The places where people are held in isolation also go by various names. In California, long-term solitary confinement units are referred to as security housing units, SHUs. In New York, the same acronym stands for special housing units. In Oregon, long-term isolation units are called intensive management units, IMUs, while in Pennsylvania, they are restricted housing units, RHUs. In the federal system, one type of solitary confinement takes place in special management units, SMUs, and another in communications management units, CMUs. What all share are conditions of extreme isolation and sensory deprivation within a small, confined space, alone or, in limited cases, with a cellmate. For those who endure it, life in solitary confinement means living in a cell for up to 24 hours a day. People held in disciplinary segregation in federal prisons, for example, typically spend 2 days a week entirely in isolation and 23 hours a day in their cells during the remaining 5 days, when they are allotted 1 hour for exercise. Exercise usually takes place alone in an exercise room or a fenced or walled dog run. Some individuals in solitary are escorted, usually in shackles, to the shower, while others have showers within their cells. They may or may not be allowed to leave their cells for visits or to make telephone calls. Solitary confinement cells generally measure from 6 times 9 to 8 times 10 feet. Some have bars, but most have solid metal doors. Meals generally come through slots in the doors, as do any communications with prison staff. Within these cells, people live lives of enforced idleness. They are often denied the opportunity to work or attend prison programming. and are sometimes banned from having radios, art supplies, and even reading materials in their cells. People held at Pelican Bay State Prison in Northern California have been described as living in a, quote, small cement prison cell. Everything is gray concrete: the bed, the walls, the unmovable stool. Everything except the combination stainless steel sink and toilet. You can't move more than 8 feet in one direction. William Blake, who spent 34 years in solitary confinement in New York before he was transferred to the general prison population in 2021, described his environment in solitary as follows. Life in the box is about an austere sameness that makes it difficult to tell one day from 1,000 others. Nothing much and nothing new ever happened to tell you if it's a Monday or a Friday, March or September, 1987 or 2012. I've seen and felt hope becoming like a foggy, ephemeral thing, hard to get a hold of, even harder to keep a hold of as the years and then decades disappeared while I stayed trapped in the emptiness of the shoe world. Here is a general look at the life Bryan Kohberger is experiencing. This is a true crime podcast for those on the run. Short, sweet, and to the point. Hope you guys enjoy the content that 12 Gauge Investigative puts out. If so, like, subscribe, and share. Be safe and watch your 6.